Did you guys notice that the Bilingual Education Supplemental test just goes BEST? They don't call it the BEST test?
No one calls it that.
Why the hell not? Oh, hi. Sorry, I didn't see you there. You want to take the TExES BEST test? Well, you're in the right place. Hi, my name is Martha. I usually spend my time helping students in my classroom, but today I'm partnering with 240 and I'm here to help you. I'm going to prepare you for the TExES Bilingual Education Supplemental test. This video is going to cover 3 things: what's on the test and how to study for it, the most likely concepts that will be on the test, and we're going to look at a few practice questions. Let's take off. Now, the Bilingual Supplemental is made up of one domain broken into 4 competencies. Each competency is quite a mouthful, but don't worry, we're going to make this simple. That's better. We'll call the competencies Foundations, L1 and L2 Acquisition, that stands for Language 1 and Language 2, Promoting Literacy, and Content Area Instruction. We'll hear an overview of each competency and then dig into a key concept that is essential to know for your exam. Let's take it from the top and start with Foundations. For this competency, you'll need to know all about the history and application of bilingual programs, general best practices in bilingual education, and something super important for this exam called the ELPS. These are the English Language Proficiency Standards used when teaching English language learners in TExES. They describe student expectations for listening, speaking, reading, and writing. At the beginning, intermediate, advanced, and advanced high levels. Now, this may seem like a lot of information, and it is, but we've taken these charts and broken them down into easily digestible takeaways, and you will find them in our study guide. Just FYI, in addition to this amazing video, our online study guides have all the tools, flashcards, and practice questions you'll need. Check the link below. On your exam, there are 2 main ways you'll be tested on the ELPS. You may need to identify an effective strategy to use based on the ELL's proficiency level, or you may have to identify the student's proficiency level based on a work or conversation sample. Okay, so ELPS gets a smushed together acronym, but not BEST. Okay, fine, whatever. It's not my business. I didn't write it. Anyway, let's dive into Competency 2. Competency 2 covers L1 and L2 acquisition. Basically, this competency is all about language and how people learn it. L1 stands for Language 1, meaning someone's native language, while L2 stands for Language 2, meaning a new language. For this competency, you'll need to know the building blocks of language, starting with phonetics, which is the study of the basic sounds of speech, and building all the way out to pragmatics, which is the practical use of language. You'll also need to be familiar with the theories about how people learn language, such as the stages of second language acquisition, BICS and CALP, Krashen's 5 hypotheses, the natural approach, the Kala approach, the nativist theory, and the social interactionist theory. Now, you could spend your time Googling what each of these terms means, vetting the sources you find on the internet, and then writing down what you think are the key points about each of these terms, or you could just get our study guide and be confident you are learning exactly what you need to know to pass the TExES Bilingual Education Supplemental test. It should be called the BEST test. The BEST test. It's just easier, it's faster, makes more sense. Okay, let's go ahead and talk about one of these theories in detail. BICS stands for Basic Interpersonal Communication Skills. CALP stands for Cognitive Academic Language Proficiency. Language development professor Jim Cummins theorizes that it takes 1 to 3 years to reach proficiency in BICS, while it takes 5 to 7 years to develop CALP. BICS are more visible, like the tip of the iceberg. They are seen every day in routine interactions with friends and family. CALP is more under the surface. It is required for specialized situations, like formal school settings. The iceberg becomes even more complex when CULP is factored in. We have a video all about this in the study guide. Let me show you.
Let's look at Cummins' iceberg model of language interdependence. Remember that L1 can support L2. There are areas of shared understanding that support each language. CULP stands for Common Underlying Language Proficiency. So why is this important? In order for ELLs to be successful, they must acquire both social and academic language proficiency in English.
Hey, we've made it halfway through our competencies. How are you feeling? You're not crashing, are you? You get it? It's like that 5 hypotheses of crashing. Sorry, okay. Let's get into number 3, shall we? Competency 3 is all about promoting literacy. This refers to students' ability to read and write. And since this is a bilingual education exam, literacy is promoted in both the student's native language and English. Now, does this mean you need to be proficient in every language students in your bilingual classroom may speak to pass this exam? No, that's not a requirement. It's okay. Did I scare you? I'm sorry. You don't need to know all that, but what you do need to know are strategies to promote literacy in a bilingual classroom. Now, literacy involves a lot of elements, such as concepts of print, decoding, comprehension, and fluency, just to name a few. Again, we have this all covered in the study guide, but for right now, let's turn our attention toward fluency. It's important to note that fluency is made up of 3 components: accuracy, prosody, and speed. English is a difficult language to decode, and thus, it's not a surprise that it can be a struggle for bilingual learners to read fluently. Thankfully, there are effective strategies that can help. Teachers should model fluent reading and provide plenty of opportunities for students to listen to text read by native speakers. Shared reading is when a teacher reads aloud from a large format book, so students can follow along. Providing multiple opportunities for students to reread the same text or repeat phrases is effective because after students have decoded all the unfamiliar words, they can focus on their fluency. Songs and poems can be used for familiar, repetitive practice. Providing students with background knowledge and vocabulary support before and during reading can help students read with greater ease. Students should also be provided with multiple opportunities to read aloud, such as through echo reading, choral reading, reader's theater, and partner reading. And remember, English learners benefit from visual support. Any strategies to support fluency could contain illustrations to make them even stronger tools to use. All right, one competency to go. The last area of the bilingual exam is all about content area instruction. So we're talking about bilingual students' content area learning. For example, think about teaching English learners science or social studies for this one. Now, before you can teach the content, you have to be aware of factors that may affect bilingual students in this area. Potential issues include lack of prior learning experiences, lack of familiarity with specialized language and vocabulary, lack of familiarity with structure and uses of textbooks and other print resources, and varying English language proficiency and content area knowledge. We cover strategies to address each of these issues in our study guide. Let's go over one now. Make content comprehensible to English language learners through scaffolding techniques such as activating and building background knowledge, pre-teaching key vocabulary terms, and using gestures and other visual cues throughout instruction. Now that we've gone over some of the big concepts, let's look at some practice questions to show you how these concepts can appear on the test. If you want a lot of practice questions, you can click the free practice tests below. Did I mention the 240 study guide has a money-back guarantee that you'll pass? Now for questions. Let's see one about those ELPs we discussed from Competency 1. When responding to a prompt about Western expansion in an 8th grade history class, an English learner writes the following. In 1803, the Louisiana Purchase made the U.S. twice more big than before. The American people was interesting in new land. Everyone want land to farm, you know? So many people moved west. This student's writing style is characteristic of a student at which of the following levels of writing proficiency? Beginning, intermediate, advanced, advanced high. Here's the right answer. Remember how Competency 2 includes understanding basic concepts of language? Let's look at how that is reflected in a question. A student who understands how to create a word by adding a prefix to another word has learned about phonology, morphology, phonetics, or pragmatics. Now, you might think the correct answer here was A, phonology, but it turns out that's not quite it. The correct answer here is actually B, morphology. Through the question feedback in the study guide, I can see that morphology refers to word formation. New words can be formed by adding an affix to a root. A prefix is an affix that can be added before the root, like adding re to do to form redo. Now let's look at a question from Competency 3. Remember, this one has to do with promoting literacy. An elementary school English language arts teacher has several English learners in her class. At the start of every school year, when speaking with the parents and/or guardians of her students, she mentions the importance of continuing to read with their children in their native language. She mentions this because she knows that literacy skills in one language can transfer to another, fluency is best developed through listening, student motivation increases when parents are involved in the learning process, or phonological awareness is a strong predictor of reading success. A is the best answer. Literacy skills are known to transfer across languages, so any improvement students make to the literacy skills in their home language is beneficial to the development of their literacy skills in English. All right, let's take care of one more. We'll pull one from Competency 4, which is all about content area instruction. A teacher is planning a lesson on the physics of skateboarding for a bilingual classroom. Which of the following should be prepared as a pre-teaching step before showing the students the text from the magazine? A list of words about after-school activities and sports, a list of words and jargon specifically related to physics and skateboarding, a list of physics resources, or a list of various physics words. Choice B is the one we want. There are likely to be idiomatic expressions and jargon that will come up when reading about a specialized activity such as skateboarding. For example, did you know that a fakie is when you are riding backwards on the skateboard? Now that's just a small sampling of practice questions to give you an idea about how these concepts are assessed on the test. Congratulations on finishing the questions. Thanks for spending time with us today. If you found this video helpful, give it a like. If you really want to make sure you're prepared for the TExES Bilingual Education Supplemental exam, take the next step and subscribe to the 240 Study Guide. It has hours of videos so you can watch and or listen while doing chores. It is test aligned so you know precisely what you need to study. It has hundreds of practice questions so you can be sure you're ready. And it comes with a money-back guarantee. So click the link below right now to get started on your best test. It sounds better. Best test.